I'll begin to do a little bit of an explanation so I can record this to YouTube. So let me just tell you how the deck works. This is basically Boros Tokens, control or mid-range. The deck has been surging and making some results lately. The main card that has been carrying the deck is Caretaker's Talent. The way Caretaker's Talent works is whenever a token enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card, and this is the passive ability of this talent. Then you can level it up, it copies a token you already own, then you can level it up again, and it gives +2/+2 to all your creature tokens, which is pretty solid. The deck has a bunch of removal for opponent's creatures, and then the only creature that the deck is playing is Beza, because it has a very good ratio uh, in the sense that it creates you tokens if you're behind, it gains you life if you're behind. It's basically the comeback card into the game. Um, the deck might seem a little bit top heavy, but just to remind you, Virtue of Loyalty is also a 2 mana spell that you can cast to create a token that is a 2/2 Knight with Vigilance. Then the top end has 3 Sunfall and 1 Quintorius Cand. Quintorius is my spicy pick. It's not usually showing up on the deck lists that have been making results. But I like this card. I think that the Discover 4 is very relevant. If you eat base out of it, it's amazing. It doesn't eat Sunfall, so you'll never get Sunfall out of Quintorius, which is cool because you don't want to kill your own creatures when you're at this point in the game. And remember that you can also always put the card that you discover into your hand and not cast it. So imagine you hit a temporary lockdown and you have a board full of tokens. You don't have to cast your temporary lockdown. You can just put it into your hand. Um, Another cool mention is Carrot Cake, which is a common from Bloomborough. Card has been putting up results. It does a lot for a 2 mana spell, and um, it has been pretty good, doing great results in this deck. Then we have 4 Torch the Tower, 4 Lightning Helix. It's just regular burn, creature removal, and some life gain, because you want to get to start uh, creating tokens and actually winning the game. And there's Archangel Elspeth, which is also a cool inclusion that you can also hit from Quintorius Cand Discover 4. Um, what else do I have to mention? I think we mentioned basically everything in our deck. I also have to Get Lost. Some decks are running more, some decks are running less. You can also put some in the sideboard if you want, if you're playing best of 3. But this is basically to kill big stuff. But the thing is the deck already runs a bunch of Sunfalls, a bunch of temporary lockdowns. I don't think you want to overload yourself with spot removal. So I'm just running 2. Um, Let me just mention that Fountain Port, some people are running 4, but I'm running 2 Fountain Port, 1 Mirex, because they both create tokens. Fountain Port has an additional ability that lets you sacrifice tokens to draw cards, which is also really relevant when you're grinding the game. And the rest is just the usual lands that are available in standard. And I'm including 4 Fabled Passage to dry out the deck. You don't have to run them. I did because I had them from previous editions, but if you want to run more Sunken Citadels, you're welcome. Sunken Citadel is amazing in this deck. You want to be able to use the abilities on your lands. and the Sunken Citadel helps you do that. I just didn't have more and I didn't feel like crafting more than two. But some people are running four, so if you have Sunken Citadel, play Sunken Citadel. It's gonna be cool. Then when you go to the sideboard, on the sideboard we have Destroy Evil, which is used against Golgari because of the combo of Innkeeper's Talent and Vraska. We have a Braid for the artifact decks. There are some going around. We have Kutzil's Flanker, which is just a good catch-all card. It gains you life, it scries, it can exile graveyards. Does a lot of cool things and it's kind of flexible. It also has flash, so in some matchups you play it just because it has flash and it dodges some removal. We have Parting Gust here. It could be your third Get Lost. I just put Parting Gust because I didn't feel like crafting a Get Lost. I'm running 2 Skrelv's Hive. I think this card is pretty cool when your opponent has also a bunch of removal. And it's token generation. It's cool on this deck. We have also Lauren of the Third Pet. This is also for artifact and enchantment removal. Uh, Basically, you bring this against Golgari because you don't want Innkeeper's Talent to stay for a very long time. We have the fourth temporary lockdown on the sideboard. Maybe I should just move my face out of the way so you guys can watch what I'm trying to show. So we have temporary lockdown number 4 here, which is basically temporary lockdown number 4 is basically for aggro matchups. There are a couple of Convoke decks and Heroic decks going around, and Temporary Lockdown is the card you use to deal with them effectively. And then you have a third Beza also for these matchups that you need to stabilize after the initial impact. And I have one Eternal Wanderer. Not sure why, because I just put it because it's a cool card, but uh, it's not that it makes a lot for this deck. I mean, it's also mass removal, and then you can just spam more tokens and get more stuff. I mean, it's a cool card. It's just very expensive for what it does. But if you're on a grindy matchup, maybe bring it in. So I'm not advising you to run Eternal Wanderer. In fact, there are more cards that you can put here on the sideboard against other matchups like Brotherhood's End and stuff like that. If you're feeling that your meta is really, really aggro, there are more cards that you can put here in the sideboard. But um, from what I'm experiencing right now on the queue, there are a lot of mid-range decks, like especially Golgari mid-range going around, and that's why I'm running stuff to destroy Innkeeper's Talent. It's my sideboard plan. Um, but yeah, this is basically it. I think now I'm gonna play some games. With this deck, guys, don't remember I do a separate video with the games. Please like and subscribe this deck tech. The link for the deck list is on the description of the video. And I'm now gonna record the games. And I'll post that video later, maybe on the weekend. See you guys.